another use the money. Good evening. The regular meeting of the Richmond Board of Education will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sandy, if you could please read our mission statement and take roll call.
At Richmond Community Schools, we provide a quality education that empowers students to be successful in the global community. And roll call, Candace.
Here.
Deb.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Margaret.
Here.
Angela, I'm sorry.
Here.
I am also here, and Danielle is absent with notice, so we do have four.
Thank you. At this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Support, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Do I have support? Thank you. Any discussion, Mr. Mosley?
In the personnel report, we have several resignations, retirements, and some new hires. Jason Campbell, math teacher at the high school, is resigning at the end of the school year. Stacy Fenton, educational paraprofessional, resigned May 22nd. Bea Guzak, art teacher, resigned at the end of the school year. She's going to another district. Haley Klein resigned as child care aides. Heather Merrill resigned as middle school science teacher at the end of prior to the next school year. Brian Rubin resigned as boys tennis coach, and Amy Smallman resigned as Spanish/teacher cadet. Ella Allen is a new hire. She's one of our teacher cadet students. Will be working with the summer program as an intern. Krista Lang is a secretary that was hired. Charles Madoff, Samantha McCarty, Olivia McIntyre, Autumn Rands, and Kayla Siemens, all our teacher cadet candidates that were hired as summer interns for our summer program. There were no appointments by the board. I did not, nobody reported any errors brought to my attention for the May 22nd, 6:45, for the May 22nd, 7 o'clock meeting, and I received no questions regarding the claims and accounts.
Any other questions for Ms. Walton?
No, I just wanted to make a comment to all the teachers that actually held out to the end of the year before they put their resignation to thank them. I know we had a big hit with a lot of teachers that left in the middle of the year breaking their contract. And so I just want to point out that I appreciate the teachers that stayed throughout the year and made it a good ending to the school year for the children.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item on our agenda is our raves. Sandy, do you have anything?
I do not.
Angela?
No, that's it.
I have two. I would like to acknowledge Christina Wallace. She's the middle school teacher and NGHS moderator. She did an excellent job organizing the National Junior High School induction ceremony. She had no previous documents or help from the past moderator. However, she put it together for a nice ceremony for the students and the parents. So I'd like to personally thank Christina for her dedication to our students. I would also like to acknowledge Andrea Zabo, high school principal. She too was the first time organizing the high school graduation. She put together a nice ceremony, again, for both our students and our parents. Thank you, Andrea, for your dedication to our students. Kelly, anybody?
I just want to say that you guys did a great job today on the 8th grade. All the 8th grade teachers and principal and Andrea Zabo on the 8th grade graduation today. I was unable to make it to the other award ceremonies, but it was a really nice celebration that they had today. And those kids looked amazing. I told myself, I was laughing at the other moms and said they were going to cry. And I was like, whatever, that's so silly. And then I caught myself crying. Thank you guys for putting on a great show for them today.
Candace?
Yes, I wanted to also commend Ms. Morella and the 4th and 5th, 6th and 7th grade graduation ceremonies that I was able to attend were very nice, and the students, it was just very upbeat and happy, and it was a great thing to see the kids happy moving on to their next grades. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Rabbit for his wonderful field day that took a lot to coordinate, and he did an amazing job keeping it all together, both half days that he did it, and organizing, and just big shout out to him and whoever helped him.
Thank you. Margaret?
Yeah, I want to echo what you said, Ms. Michon, about the high school graduation. It is the culmination of everything that we do, and it's the best thing being a board member to be able to be a part of that. And Ms. Zabo and Ms. Borwick did a tremendous job. And also to echo Kelly, 8th grade graduation, Ms. Morella and Mr. Knight was very well done this morning. And a rave shout out to our varsity girls softball team who beat Country Day on Saturday to win the regional championship, beat them 1-0, bottom of the 7th, 2 outs. Overthrown ball from third base out to the outfield, and we scored and we beat them, and it was fabulous. And they play tomorrow night in the quarterfinals in Marysville at 7:30, but just an exciting team, and it was just really fun to beat those kids from Country Day.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is our presentations. We're going to start off with our district spotlight. We're going to recognize our retirees.
Tonight we recognize 3 retirees: Sheila Lepak, high school counselor; Jody Schroeder, teacher at Willow Lee Elementary School; and Jamie Studer. To begin, Becky Borwick will address Mrs. Lepak. Mrs. Lepak, you want to come on up?
As Mr. Walmsley said, we're here to recognize Ms. Sheila Lepak. She joined Richmond Community Schools in 1997. She began her career as an English teacher and eventually transitioned into the role as a guidance counselor for the organization. A fellow colleague described Ms. Lepak as always being a pleasure to work with. Her quick wit and positivity brightened everyone's day, and she was able to make connections with her students in a positive manner. We wish her the very best and all the best wishes in her future endeavors. So, congratulations.
Sheila, I'd just like to wish you the best. Since I got here, you've been the only counselor at the high school I knew. And you've given it your all each day, so I appreciate that. Thank you. You want to do
You want to?
Yeah.
Let's get our sword up here and then
How about if we all stand up here so we can shake
shake
hands?
hands. Okay, do that. Or line up that way. Yep, okay.
Sheila, you can walk down the line. This is your. You're the first.
Congratulations.
Okay, we're gonna get a
Sheila, get
picture.
with them so I can get a picture.
Down here, down here. No.
All righty. Great.
Say something, so we're gonna.
Just
Just say it to
Don't worry about it.
Oh, it all works together? All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Walmsley. I do truly appreciate all of the effort you put into passing bonds and working hard. Like, you're one of the hardest people working that I know, and Mrs. Michon, you too. And thank you, Board of Education, because I know it's a thankless job. Whatever you do, any decision is always the wrong decision. You never can make the right decision. So thank you. What can I say? It was truly a good run. I'm blessed and honored to have served this organization for the past 26 years. But when we speak of organization, it's all about the people, my colleagues, our families. From my first year at Richmond Middle School as a teacher and coach, I was welcomed with open arms by Gary and Carol Rombauer. They invited me into their house once a week for dinner. Their family, their two daughters, Christy and Carly. They cared about me completely, they mentored me, and frankly, they wore off some of those rough edges I had as a 20-something-year-old who was learning to teach and actually learning how to live. So their care and their camaraderie continued with Mr. Olson and Mrs. Michon, who patiently mentored me as a fresh counselor at the high school. Their mentorship, along with Mr. Parkhurst, the middle school counselor at the time, allowed me to gather experience and practice and sometimes fail. But we were a team, so we figured it out. Building relationships trumped policy when Mr. Castle came in, and I grew to truly appreciate our students and their families. I was blessed to have been mentored by these leaders and countless colleagues throughout the years, many who have become good friends. But change is good, and most of them went first. I've been blessed to have grown up here at Richmond Community Schools with supportive colleagues and wonderful families, and I do thank all of you for that, for me. Thank you.
Our next is, I will ask Ms. Manning and Mr. Gibson, I'm going to be joining her. We have two teachers from Lee, Jody Schroeder and Jamie Skeeter. We'll start with Mrs. Schroeder.
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll start with Mrs. Schroeder. Sorry, right next to you.
That's okay.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Well, today we come to express our thanks to Mrs. Schroeder for her vast contribution not only to the academic life of all of her students who were in her care, but for all of the other aspects of school life where she was generous with her time and gave the gift of commitment. Mrs. Schroeder has been one of the cornerstones for the past 25 years. I have been honored to be one of Mrs. Schroeder's administrators for 8 years, and let me tell you, she will tell you how she feels. But here's the thing about Ms. Schroeder, she loves as hard as she advocates, and that's hard to find. You won't find many teachers who have also begun and ended their career right here in the same district, let alone the same school, but this is just one example of your dedication to Richmond Community Schools. Mrs. Schroeder advocates for her students like nobody I've ever seen, and she always wants what's best for them and never stops until they get just that. One of the most commendable characteristics of Mrs. Schroeder is her ability to see the very best in her students and make them feel like they belong no matter where they come from. I want to personally thank you for believing in me as I came in as a young leader, and you believed in me all the way through. You always encouraged me and made me feel like you were my #1 fan. You made it easy to come to work each day, and your feedback honestly has made me a better leader. Ms. Schroeder, I hope you travel places that you've always wanted to go, and enjoy your grandchildren, all 7 plus 1 of them. You have earned every ounce of this step in your life. You'll be sorely missed, and that's an understatement. Your roots have grown very deep in Richmond Community Schools. Thank you for your dedication.
Thank you. I know it's going to be a lot of ringing going on.
Let us ring the bell.
Just ring it. Ring that bell. Go ahead. Ring it, my bell. Yes. Ring it. It's all up here and she can get in the picture too. It's okay, you can stand over there. I told him I was going to rate us, but it's lunch.
One, two, over here. 1, 2, 3. Great job.
I didn't prepare something as nice as what Sheila did, but just a funny story. I grew up and graduated from Memphis High School, and I found out later when I married my husband that what my belief was not true. We thought that we were Richmond's arch rival. We couldn't stand Richmond. And when I started dating him, he informed me they didn't really care about Memphis. Armada was their arch rival, and I found that out as I coached here for 14 years. But so if I would have ever dreamt that I would marry a person from Richmond and teach in Richmond for 30 years and coach in Richmond for 14 years and have 8 little Blue Devils running around besides the 4 that I had, that was never ever a thought in my mind, but it has definitely.
No, you said you weren't. Go ahead.
What a great place to work. I've had a lot of friends that I will dearly miss. I have lots of kids around me and I'm going to be babysitting, so the kids, you know, I'm still going to have that, but it's just going to be the friends that I've made along the way. And I brought somebody with me that's very special also that got me here in Richmond. She's the neighbor, actually, of my in-laws. And Wayne State, when I graduated, or when I was going there, they were having a hard time placing teachers. And I said, well, I've done 2 urban settings already, you know, and they said, oh, you get a suburban setting. So I came up to the school and I asked her, I said, would I be able to teach with you? And she said yes. So Phyllis Personaw is kind of one of the reasons why I'm here too. And I said between the 2 of us combined, we have 63 years of teaching in Richmond Community Schools. So it's kind of a neat thing. So.
To echo what Mrs. Mangoody said about Jody will always, you'll know Jody's mind, she'll speak her mind. When she turned in her letter that day, she came into my office and she had no problem telling me things that we need to consider and do. And I still remember that today, and a lot of those we are implementing. I appreciate the time that you've done in Richmond and work with hundreds of kids you touch, so thank you.
All right, at this time, Ms. Studer, if you could please come up. If you could have seen Mrs. Studer run out of the building. Today we come to recognize the retirement of Mrs. Studer. At any given time, you could walk by Mrs. Studer's room and hear the laughter and enjoyment going on. Mrs. Studer was known for her classroom dollars, her humor, and her honesty. Mrs. Studer was dedicated to the academic success of each one of her students. She always did her best to give individualized instruction and create an atmosphere for a love for learning. Mrs. Studer can attest that her life-loving laugh was contagious. You made your classroom a brighter place. Mrs. Studer, I hope that you enjoy the slowdown and get to be present with your daughters in the years to come. I hope that you get to have that mindless job someday that you talk about. We're all just a little bit jealous. There will be a void in the hallways and at staff meetings when you are not there, and you will surely be missed. You have been a tremendous teammate and a colleague, and we wish you the very best.
Okay.
picture? Is it good? Good? Yes, and we can have her come back.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One more.
One more.
There, perfect.
Mrs. Studer, I have to chuckle because this is Napier Senator's speech and in reference to your classroom dollars. A couple of years ago, I was reading in your class, you were out that day, and your kids asked, will you please make sure we were really good so we can get our classroom dollars? And I had forgotten about it until I read it, so again, congratulations to you and all the retirees. Well worth it. Many years of experience that we are losing in Richmond, but hopefully you will have a new chapter in your life that's even better than we had. Thank you. You guys are welcome to leave. You're welcome to stay.
Well,
You're welcome to leave. There are cookies and buns if we
Take some to go.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, our next item on our agenda is our instructional spotlight. Ms. Stairs.
So as Ms. Staples comes to the podium, this is one of the requirements of state law that as part of an outgrowth of COVID and schools being virtual and in person, we are required to report to the board by the end of the year. We saw this report back in February and the goals earlier in the year. So this is Staples is here to report this year's goals. So in your packet, you have a copy of the report. Should be referenced.
So enrolled House Bill 4411, benchmark assessment goals, information and reporting states that each school, building, and district will establish educational goals for middle and end of the year. One part of this law requires the districts publicly announce growth scores on the first board meeting in February and the first board meeting in June. You see all of our growth scores. Richmond established goals in September. They are on our transparency page as well. By the end of the 22-23 school year, each school in the district will show growth in reading, ELA achievement, and mathematics achievement throughout the global pandemic as measured on NWEA math growth for grades K through 12. And or local assessments for grades 9 through 12. When you look at all of the individual 98B goal progress reports, or what they're called, they're individualized for each of the grades or for each of the buildings. You can see our February goals by the first board meeting that were announced in February, obviously, and now no later than the last day of school. You can see all of our subgroups, how the students did overall. Our economically disadvantaged students with special needs, English learner, female, male, and some of the races that are above 30. And I'm proud to say that every single grade school from February to today made improvement in their overall written growth score on the NWEA. So literally did it. Does anybody have any questions or discuss certain data points that you saw?
So I'm just going to give my editorial here.
Okay.
This is one of those state mandates. They apply to all schools regardless of whether you were in person, virtual, etc. In all of the state aid packages, the governor's, the House, the Senate, this does not appear going forward. So it is our hope that this reporting mechanism, because we have our school improvement process, really is where our meat and potatoes is, goes away and we won't be doing this in the future. But nothing's signed into law yet, so we could.
Thank you. Next, I will need the the bike controller, or whenever you transfer the screen over.
So the next presentation, called The Good Stuff, I asked Ms. Staples to put together kind of a summary of some of the big things that the instructional program has done that we can be proud of, and that we've shown some growth and improvement. So that's what this presentation is about. It's kind of a year in review.
So this isn't everything in review, but definitely some great things to be proud of what's gone on this year here at Richmond Community Schools. I'm going to ask that co-presenters, Ms. Walters, Ms. Gallagher, come up and join me. You guys are the good stuff, right? So to start, we had initiated a new class at our middle school, the 6th grade STEAM class, and I remember when the proposal first came in from Ms. Gallagher about wanting to expand our STEAM offerings. We just thought it was a wonderful idea. It was you guys approved it in the course catalog, thank you, and it ran for the first time this year. So I wanted to give you just a little snippet of how it went this year, and I'll leave it to Ms. Gallagher. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. First of all, I thank you again for the opportunity to expand the STEAM program. The first year of 6th grade STEAM, I think, was very successful. Of course, that's my opinion, but we did some really cool things. You can see by the slide, we did several different units during the class. We did some precise measurement units where we designed skimmers, and then we did a challenge where we rolled the skimmers in the hallway to see who's went the farthest. That was a lot of fun. Another unit that we did using Minecraft, and a lot of people think Minecraft is just a game, but it can be an educational tool as well. We researched ancient Egypt, and we did the Great Pyramid of Giza, and then they had to also do the Sphinx, and they also had to do a dwelling, ancient Egyptian dwelling. And so there was a lot of research involved, and they had to recreate that in Minecraft in their teams. Those pictures there shows that's them at the end of the challenge. They're all excited with their skimmer. So I'm going to hit the next. And then we had some chariot races. So we programmed Sphero Robot. They had to research chariots, and they had to build one out of recycled materials around their Sphero Robot. And then we went down to the cafeteria. The lunch ladies were very entertained by us every time we came down. And they did some first straightaway racing, and then they had a program around a track for the Sphero Robots. One of the other big challenges I liked, they did a problem-based project where they had to do a quick design or prototype for an orthosis for a child with cerebral palsy. And as it kind of turned out, the second semester, it was kind of a neat tie-in. There's actually a student in the class who was born with cerebral palsy, and so she brought in her orthosis, and so it kind of made it real for the kids to kind of see that. So then they developed their prototype out of cardboard. They worked in groups, and then they had to model it and then sell it, market it, research how much the material would cost, what they would use to build it, and then sell it and market it in front of the class with their presentation. And then the other thing that I'll touch on is we did, because I wanted to tie in STEM careers to get students interested in that, there's a program that I used called Everify, and there are 7 modules that are STEM career modules that students go through and learn. One was about game design, so they learned what it takes to design a video game, all the aspects of that. Medical field was another one, what doctors do for diagnosing patients. Another one had to do with transportation and logistics. So they learned about that. And as they went through all of those modules, they had to take an assessment at the end. They had to pass with 70% or higher with the module. And then as they go through the units, it asks them questions. Did you like this? Thumbs up, thumbs down. And then it kind of matches them up with a possible STEM career for the future. So that's kind of how things went this year. So I appreciate the opportunity to provide that for the students.
About is our Title I program. It's definitely gone through
some reorganization this year, and I think we find, you do things and you do them until it works, and that's what we owe it to the kids to do, and I think that we found the right person, and we found the right system and structure for everything, so I'm going to give it up to Ms. Walters to talk about the Title I program for this year.
Thank you very much. I really, really love working in Title I. I have a fantastic team with Mr. Pedri, Mrs. Van Scooter, Mrs. Barron, Mrs. Borkowski. They are dynamic parapros and they work very hard. We all have a passion for helping and remediating the kids. We are using Ames Web to drive our data, and we progress monitor every week in reading and in math. I should say bi-weekly, we alternate weeks. And we use Road to Reading as our remediation reading program. We use Bridges Intervention for our math program. And we are seeing really significant and positive growth using those programs. I'm just so excited. We are K-5. So we start out our morning over at the middle school, and we work with grades 4 and 5. And then we travel back to Lee, and we work with K through 3 over at Lee. And it is going beautifully. It is pretty amazing.
This was our Title I and EL night. We had a huge turnout. It was the first time that we combined forces with Title I and EL, and it was a huge turnout, very successful. We even had some of our teacher cadets come and work some of the games and stations for families, and we got to take away all sorts of books and flashcards and great tools to be able to use at home. So that was a really fun event.
We had Learning Gizmos come in, and they brought educational games, and we gave each family a voucher to purchase a game for that. And so not only did they leave with books and other learning materials, flashcards, things like that, but they also left with an educational game. And the kids raved about it, just raved about it. Here are some of our data. Now, I'd like you to pay attention to, let's look at kindergarten math. That's up on the left corner there. The green are the kids at the beginning. That is the all hands on deck. No, not kindergarten, I'm sorry. Kindergarten, that was, let me get my thoughts straight here. Kindergarten, the green is where the kids are on grade level. The yellow is where they're 1 year behind. And the red is where they're 2 or more years behind. So when you look at kindergarten, from the beginning to the end, you can see that with our remediation and everything, we really made some tremendous growth there. Now, we also had grade 1 and grade 3, which were the all hands on deck model, where the teachers coordinated with Title I and we did interventions at the same time. And each grade, in grade 1 and grade 3, they broke the entire class into levels that needed, and the teachers met the students where they were at and did interventions or enrichment to bring them up or above grade level. And then Title I, we worked with the lower kids, and we remediated those kids. And you can see in grade 1 and grade 3 how effective that all hands on deck is, because we are in partnership with the teachers. And it's pretty amazing to see the growth that happens there.
We actually, fun story, the kids begged Title I to please keep going over the summer. They didn't want to stop seeing Ms. Walters and the Title I team this year, so it was a huge success. Not only can we see data and numbers as an indicator of success, but when kids are saying, please, we don't want to leave, and we, please keep it going, that's also a great measure of success. So this structure was finally just, I think, working so well, and just thank you
They love coming to see us. Even, believe it or not, even the 5th grade, that we were walking, the team was walking down the hall to leave the school, and we were bombarded by the 5th grade. And they were just so sad that they weren't going to be seeing us next year. They really, really love coming to Title. So it is such a pleasure and a privilege to work with these kids.
I'm also going to go, thank you guys. I'm going to go into some of our new CTE programs that we launched this year. We were able to receive some student quotes about the program from the first time that it launched. Our teacher cadet program was a huge success. The smiles, the gifts that the teacher cadets received, you can see, I'm going to just let you read some of these quotes. Not only are they making a difference, but I feel like we made a difference for them to want to make a difference, and that whole ripple effect of just good stuff. This one gets me though. This quote. Every day with kids taught me something about myself. And I think that really shows you the impact of teaching. And if these young people are getting it as well, like, it's just so hopeful for the future. And we had a great enrollment for next year's cadet. We're going to be running year 2 as well as another year 1. So yeah, it's an experience you'll never forget or regret. So it's just beautiful. The next was our automotive technician program, and you can hear straight from the students what they felt of the class. So many students say that they now want to go into the auto business and that this is really their niche. How many, Mr. Walmsley, was it that said that they're interning or they would want to
They
get
have
there?
3 applicants that they already put into work this summer at Couvars.
So yeah. And lastly, our computer science and video game development class. This quote got me. This class here was a terrific experience. The art of coding is like none other. I always looked forward to this class, the main reason that I even came to school. So this was that class for them. Obviously, Ms. Compo did an amazing job. All of our CT teachers did. But when you hear, students giving you feedback like that, you know that we got it right, and it was part of the good stuff that happened this year. Kagan was a huge success this year. Based on the teacher survey results, you can see that 94% of teachers using Kagan strategies in the classroom say students are more actively engaged. Just to read a few, I'm not going to read the slide, but 74% of teachers said the discipline problems have lessened. And of course, good news, Kagan will be returning for professional development in August, where we are going to be doing day 3 of cooperative learning. So more good stuff to come with Kagan. Lastly, our instructional coach. She couldn't be here tonight, but she did an amazing job. You can see the breakdown of the teachers that she had on her caseload from elementary school, middle school, high school. 41 total teachers coached, 19 of those were new teachers. So what a great support system to have, that somebody can come in and observe a lesson, get feedback. They would co-teach together. They would look to see what worked, what didn't, and you can see the areas in which that they wanted to grow. And some quotes there. What was really great is 100% of teachers currently working with the instructional coach said that they want to continue to work with her in the 23-24 school year. All 100% of them. 48 teachers completed the spring interest survey for coaching, and 15 additional teachers in June said that they would like to work with the instructional coach. So the love of learning continues, and I think that her support was a great success. That concludes the good stuff. Of course, that wasn't just the only good stuff that happened, but just a snippet of just, of the good. So I want to thank the teachers that are here and thank the CTE teachers. And just thank all of you because, you know, you guys approving these things, this is what makes it happen. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you too.
With the Title I,
Yeah.
do we not go further past the 5th grade for a reason? Is there
Our
staff or funding or?
Well, because in our 6 through 8, we get the courses that they're able to take that supply those intervention. So all of our courses out of like the informational text analysis, the math support, those all get 6-8. So they're getting Title I-like services in a course, but K-5 don't get that opportunity. So that's why we do the extensive Tier 3 interventions for Tier 3 K-5 because they don't have the built-in time.
Like how the math had the other lesson plans for the advanced learners and then the strugglers.
Right.
The new book that we approved.
Right, absolutely, like
Okay,
the
so
support,
that's
yes.
kind of in replace of, okay.
Yes, because they have the built-in support classes to be able to offer those students versus K-5 that don't.
And the funding source is primary. We use our title because it's limited in what we have. So we use the funding for Title I through K-5. And then 31A, which is an at-risk funding when it comes from the state, we use primarily for our 6 through 12. So at the high school next year, we're starting the attached to an algebra, geometry, and algebra 2 class. There will be a support math class for those kids that need additional help in math. So they'll have kind of a 2-hour math block. We've done the ACRI in the middle school as well as the math intro classes. So those are our 6 through 12 days.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, our next item on our agenda is our business and operational. We're going to start off with our 2023 village tax request.
Okay, every year, the board has to approve the millage rate to be assessed, that we then notify the townships and the city that make up Richmond. That is Casco, Columbus, Lenox, and Richmond Township, and the city of Richmond. So in front of you is the 2023 tax rate request that would be distributed to the township. When you look at this tax rate, we are asking the townships to levy the total of 17.9244%, of which 5.9244 is for commercial properties. The rest is to pay the debt and for the bond that we have had. In the past, we've approved up to 18 mills. If you recall last year, we had a heavy rollback because property rates increased faster than inflation, so then they were rolled back. It equated to about approximately a $20,000 loss in revenue. You can, as a board, elect to go for a heavy override. It wouldn't be my recommendation to the board. However, this is the same operating mills that we would have implemented last year. And you can see on this chart that they expire in June of 2037. The non-homestead property mills that we collect, that's on the commercial property or someone who might own a rental or have a second home. We, several years ago, went for that and it was approved by the voters to maintain that. That also expires in 2037, so we have quite a bit of time for that. Any questions? Basically, in summer, we're going to levy exactly what we did last year, so your summer taxes will have the same millage levy.
Next item is our fiscal 24 budget discussion. Mr. Walmsley?
Okay, well, we talked at the last board meeting. There were several items, the stuff that is in gray is the stuff that we discussed at the last board meeting. Just to recap, in summary, nothing has changed. There's no bills been signed in Lansing. Really hasn't been much negotiation done in Lansing on the school aid. We do know that the money is there in the school aid from the consensus revenue conference. So the assumptions that we've been making to date are 28.5 FTEs down. That's moving everybody who's currently in a specific grade up to the next grade, which results into approximately with a $458 per pupil increase. So that equates to about $450,000 in revenue over expenses. These are some of the items we've been talking about for the last several weeks. Increase in the MIPSER's contribution, special ed, MISD enhancing village increases, voluntary severance plans going away, contract settlements are on here. We talked at the last board meeting about the elimination of the alternative education coordinator, the stipend for those that were doing cleaning services when we were short custodian. We no longer have the flagpole purchase of football helmets. At the last board meeting, we talked about athletics, and so this is the placeholder if the board wants to continue. This would bring our athletic supply budget up to $30,000. Roughly $6,000 of that is for medical, and the other $24,000 would be for the supplies that Mr. Trent talked about at the last meeting. There will be a line item for moving forward for uniforms. We talked about the secretarial position. We talked about uniforms for marching band and choir. Again, that would be now a line item to go in there. Instrument purchases, which would leave us a net of $17,000 of additional, more revenue than expenses. There were two items that I said I would bring back to you. One I put in your packet. One is the pay to participate. You can see a spreadsheet in there regarding that. Currently this year we collected $36,000, almost $37,000 in pay to participate. You can see in the previous years, in 2020 we collected 47.5, in 21 we collected 49, in 22 we had just a little over 37,000, and in 23 we're a little under 37,000. So some of the conversation was what would it take, what would be the impact if we eliminated pay to participate? Your revenue just would be decreased to approximately $37,000. So we would not list that as a revenue line item. The other item that, and it was my fault, I apologize, I forgot to upload the document, but I did print off a copy for you. Transportation, we were moving forward with making 6 bus drive positions to be combinations of bus drivers / hall monitors during the day, which would allow them to gain over that part-time basis, which would be actually a track. We've actually gained 2 applicants already if this goes through. So technically, we would be able to put the Zebra bus back online next year and not have to go to the 2-tiered system. But this just gives you kind of an estimate of how many hours. It is a ballpark because we don't have the runs finalized, but it gives you an estimate. I think it was Margaret who asked what would it cost for additional $1 if you added. The one in the middle, if you look under the hourly rate, is the projected what they will make next year. The top one's what they're currently making. So I included all the bus runs so you can see, if they're running already. So you can see what the projected increase. If you wanted to add $1 more to that number, you can see what their hourly rate would be. So they would be in essence going from 2042 all the way up to 2203. The projected increase, which is already built into the budget for the 3%, is approximately $13,000. And then you would go approximately another $20,000 if you wanted to increase the $1 per hour.
That's what my question was.
It would be about $1 per hour. So when I rewatched the video, those were the two items that you asked for more information on. I think you asked for the pay to participate. So you could either, as a whole, those are the two items. Other than that, since our last board meeting, I've gotten no conversation or discussion. My recommendation, we move forward with this. This is going to change. I mean, we don't even know the budget yet from the state, so. But from an assumption, it's pretty solid in the assumptions. There's nothing out of the ordinary here. It accounts for all of our contract settlements and negotiation.
Is this in here, the bus driver idea?
The bus driver idea, yes, from the perspective of getting those dollars. So the part of the half their day is going to be paid out of the grant. Just we don't know what grant line item. Money might be sitting in a supply just as a placeholder. We'll move it to payroll. The 3% increase is in that budget. But the additional $1 per hour is not in that budget. Correct.
Question about that, I'm sorry. You said the 13,000, okay, and then when you add the extra $1, is that 21 on top of the 13, or is it 21 instead of the 13?
So the 13, the percent increase gets our transportation, when you look at FICA retirements, about $460,000. Adding the $1 per hour when you do the FICA and retirement calculation, it raises it up to about $480,000. So you're about $20,000 more over the 3% increase.
Okay. So we're already going to go up to the 13.
Correct.
Up to 13,000 with the 3%, and then if we go the extra $1, then that adds an additional 21,000 on top of it.
Or 6,000 or something.
That's what I
It's an additional 21.
Okay,
It's an
that's what,
additional-
okay.
That 13 is already built into the budget.
Okay, that's what I was.
Projecting what we were anticipating giving them.
Okay.
So we'd have to come up
So
with
then-
another 20,000 or 21,000.
Now, part of that, you gotta remember, it's basically half of that. Half of that's gonna get charged to a grant, which is the 31AA, and the other half will be charged to the general fund, which we have to put up as.
So then the question becomes, are we interested in doing that?
I would tell you this rate, dollar mark, I think we will be the highest in the area.
So and correct me if I'm wrong, but when's the last time, didn't we just do that, like at the beginning of the year or the end of last year? Wasn't there already, like, just recently a raise to the bus?
We did.
There are several groups that,
I remember that.
at mid-year, around mid-year.
And I know I'm kind of springing this on you, and I apologize for that. Do you know about how much that increase was at that time? I'm trying to remember.
It was, let me rephrase. Theirs, because they were over $15, was an off-schedule payment. It wasn't a structural increase.
Oh, it was.
Those that were under $15, we moved everybody up to $15.
Okay.
So the minimum in this district, whether you're a child care or lunch age, you're making $15 an hour.
So so if they weren't up to $15 an hour, they got moved to $15 an hour, plus they got an off-schedule payment.
If they were
Some
over
did.
15, if they were over 15, they got the off-schedule payment.
Okay.
And not the 15.
Okay.
Or because they were already over 15.
Not an increase.
Not an increase.
Thank you for.
So that current rate is what you gave them at the beginning of last year.
And I just quite simply asked the question because of the idea of what will it bring people in to want to drive bus? That's why I asked what the dollar amount was.
Well, as I said at the last meeting, Susie went to a bus recruiting prior to that meeting, I think it was the Thursday before. We talked about this possibility. She's got that. We have one that we're processing. I think she came in with it today, Rebecca Eden. She wants a former bus person who's left to go to another district. She can come back here. She wants to work here with the guaranteed hours. She's here.
So she's already certified then?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very hard out there. I ran into two friends this past weekend. Chippewa Valley is also outsourcing for their huge bus project they already have for drivers.
We have looked
We're never
at,
gonna outsource.
we have looked at subbing outsourcing to
Yes.
subs, but they say they can guarantee, but everybody's looking for bus drivers.
Yeah.
The cost we would pay would be as much as hiring a person.
Not But I still think it's worth the extra money to do it, yeah. I agree.
I would-
cheaper than doing two teams.
I would totally be in favor of that as well. I just was curious. So, okay, I say yes.
I guess I like the idea to bring back the Z room.
That is exempt, 9 routes with the 10th one
I
being,
know that was a
9
concern.
routes with the 10th one being the dispatcher, which wouldn't have a run, but would be there for a backup.
Well, and also the more you have, the more you have, in the sense, right? I mean, transportation for athletics comes into play, field trips, that kind of stuff. I'd like to see us get to the point where we're taking our kids to sporting events. Yeah, and if this is the way how you can do it, I'd like to try it.
I'd like to see no wait list.
If we get that 9 bus, then
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I would be in favor of anything that's gonna be more attractive.
Yep.
You know, than the other schools.
Yeah.
Is
So-
it
so-
true about the main opposing that?
Their schools of choice.
Yeah.
I called the administrator over there today, and also on their website, they have their schools of choice all set for next year, registrations all out there, it says 2024. So, no, it's not true.
So this bus transportation, we're moving forward, providing single subscriber insurance right off the bat, not waiting for the waiting period. So that was part of the
Sounds good.
Okay, so at this time, I guess I have a question for the board. Are there any issues on this list that we have talked about over the last? Are we all in agreement?
I'm good.
I'm
in agreement.
I'm in agreement, so.
What was the total for the athletics, just all together? Like all of what we agreed on?
The additional cost to
Yeah.
athletics is you would have annually $33,000 budgeted for uniforms, and then we would look at a 5-year uniform cycle. So there'd be certain teams each year. And an additional $20,000 in supplies. They currently have $10,000, so that would take their total supplies to $30,000. Of that $30,000, $6,000 was for the medical supplies, and the other $24,000 were for the, we call them the athletic consumables, making sure we have balls, bats, all the stuff that every sports team needs to participate in a program. Where in the past, it's been many of the sports team fundraising to buy their own. And that's what we're trying to get. If we need all needed for the program, we're providing them.
So we're in hopes that the boosters won't need to raise as much, or?
We don't have anything to do with the boosters.
I mean, but the,
For their clothing.
the other, but the other.
We were talking about our individual teams, what parents, all the fundraising that parents, and what the boosters do is completely, that has nothing to do with us. What the boosters fundraise.
So here's, I guess, an example I would use, is if we put together the uniform schedule, and I'll just pick on girls' basketball, Mr. Shore, Coach Shore. If he knows he's getting uniforms this year, he can tell his parent, this is what we're getting from the district. This is the cost of our uniforms, you don't need to fundraise. But if we want Taj Mahal of uniform, then we gotta come up with another X number of dollars outside of what the district is. Like I said, we would use the cost for Preston, Coach, Mr. Trent gave us last week. They said, here's what the cost of today's dollars will be.
And parents will know that those uniforms are supposed to stay unless
Correct.
they're purchased.
Correct.
And will they have the option to purchase, like if they want?
I think Preston said that.
Okay.
I think he
Those
did.
are all the logistics.
And when you're a
that-
senior,
For sure.
didn't he say something that was an option?
He did say that, yeah, because they usually just take them anyways.
And in the past, rightfully so, they raised it, it was their own program, it didn't belong to anybody like the program.
Right.
So between now and his coaches meeting in August, there's a lot of those logistics that we need to put in place, the inventory sheets, the final who's getting uniforms this year, who will get them in year 2, and year 3, etc. The one thing I just want to remind everybody on the uniforms, and really potentially the band uniform, this is at today's rate. Uniforms we buy in 5 years may not be the 33. As with everything, we have to look at it.
And that you just adjusted
You
in
just
5
adjust
years,
it,
you just
correct.
figure it out. Right.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions for Mr. Walmsley regarding the budget?
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Tammy.
Tammy had a funeral to attend, so that's why she wasn't here. And I just want to leave with the board, this budget has 97 teachers, FTEs, in this budget. So we're not cutting any, we're not adjusting any, we are planning for 97 teachers. And the current schedule that we have done, every teacher has a prep next year.
And the 97 teachers that are accounted for in this budget is all included in this personnel report that we got today with the needed positions? Okay.
Okay, no other questions? Mr. Walmsley, where we go? Okay, our next item on our agenda is our superintendent's district and legislative update.
I'll start with the district stuff. As previously mentioned, I think in some of the shout-outs, the field days at the elementary school and the middle school really were phenomenal. The kids had a blast. And it's a lot of work preparing for that, so I do want to give kudos to all the staff that were involved in that, and the parents and the PTOs. It's a lot of logistics. The color run at Lee that they had was just unbelievable. Next year, I'm going to be part of that. Since our last board meeting, we had the class of 2023 graduation. It was a very great, it was a really nice ceremony, so kudos to Mrs. Daigle, Mrs. Bowen, and the whole team for that. Again, that's one of those, there's a lot of work and a lot of behind the scenes that goes into it that you don't realize. It's kind of like a wedding. You put all that planning into it, and now it's over. We had to add additional days of school this year. And when we add days to school, the state's requirement for minimum requirement is we have to meet 60%. Normally it's 75% attendance rate, but when you add days. Anybody want to take a guess what our attendance rate was for the last 3 days that we had to add?
The last 3 days?
95%.
61%.
61?
72.
All 3 days we were 90 to 92% attendance rate. And I think that speaks volumes of just the staff and the things they had planned. We talked about the awards ceremonies that took place in kindergarten through 11th grade. There's a couple kids that when you just see their faces light up because of the awards they got or what their teacher says about it, it makes everything that we do worth it. Because it's our chance to honor those kids and find a strength that they have. One little guy at the elementary school, this was his first award, so he transferred into our district. I think he was in 2nd grade. But as I was leaving, he goes, this is the first time I had an award ceremony. So it's what our mantra is, that we need to find and recognize the strengths of all of our kids. Summer projects. Tomorrow starts construction. So the middle school parking lot will be starting in Toro. We will start the parking lot at the elementary school, or excuse me, across the elementary school. You recall from our last board meeting, we had but across from the elementary school, we're putting the new parking lot that will start. There is a game going to happen on the varsity baseball field on the 28th. I believe that's a Wednesday. It's an all-star game. We held it last year. You'll have to enter the gate by the visitor dugout because they'll have started that parking lot. Materials are be delivered starting tomorrow. The middle school parking lot will be completely pulverized and redone. They're expanding the basketball court that's behind the middle school by the playground side, so that it's a half-court basketball. That will occur and last through mid to end of July, barring any rain delays. And then when that project ends, the road by on the west side of the campus that runs by the library goes in front of the middle school. That will be tore up, so that they will now replace that. We have been working to reconfigure the elementary parking lot. So there will be a new traffic pattern there. We're actually going to gain 4 more spots there. We're redoing the gate where kids come out rather than them coming out closest to the parking lot. We're redirecting them more on the side there for safety, but it will become more of a one-way parking flow. Stay tuned for communications to parents because it's very chaotic in there. Sometimes some parents just grab their child and go, so we're going to work on that one. The middle school lot to try to eliminate parents dropping their kids off in the front. The middle school lot will be, the flow is being redesigned to create a drop-off where kids are getting off on the sidewalk and then staying in that parking lot. There is a gate being installed on the lane that goes in front of the middle school, so in the morning we can actually close it and stop traffic from heading out to the library to force cars into the parking lot to drop their kids off, because it is not safe where some parents are opting to drive. So we will be communicating that in our back-to-school newsletters. I'm sure it'll be a full page in the middle school and elementary packets. Just stay tuned. But the last of the bond work is being done this summer. And I will be bringing back the unspent dollars from August to the board to look at with also a list of possible materials. From a legislative perspective, like I said, there's not a whole lot going on. The only thing is the House Education Committee began considering House Bill 4671, which would repeal the requirements that schools start after Labor Day unless they have a waiver from the state. This was, if you recall, years ago, probably 20 years now, the business community petitioned to have Michigan start after Labor Day for the tourist industry. Over the years, the state superintendent, depending on who was sitting in that seat, began issuing waivers, so many districts began starting before Labor Day. This bill would actually, you wouldn't have to go through any hurdles. It's the local district's decision and what they negotiate with their collective bargaining. So it's just something as an option. I am not saying we're starting before Labor Day. I did not want to imply that or say that. We're starting after or before. But it will be something that we have. So for the next 2 years, we'll be starting the Tuesday after Labor Day. And that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is our items of interest from the board. Margaret, I'm going to start with you.
Nope, I'm good.
Candace?
Can you skip me?
I can skip you. Kelly?
Just real quick, I want to say thank you to the teachers and coaches that we actually saw at the Blue Devil tournament this weekend. It was a huge tournament for so many Richmond kids, and it was kind of nice to see coaches and teachers that didn't have really any reason to be there other than they promised their kids that they would come and watch them play baseball. So that was really cool to see them come out and support their kids in a non-school related activity. Good. Yep.
Sandy?
So I just wanted to say, I attended graduation with the rest of you, and that's probably one of my favorite things to do. And I know you guys raved about it earlier, but I think that it was a really awesome event. It was put together very well. I always enjoy it. It's one of my favorite parts of doing what we do here. So I appreciate everybody that put that together. It was put together very well, and thank you for letting me be a part of that. And also, I don't know if you guys did this last year, but this year all of the award ceremonies for all of the other grades were, available online for us to watch. And I really appreciate that, especially the ones that are during the day. I can't get to all of those, and so I can watch them at my own leisure, and I do. And I think that that's a really wonderful thing that you do for parents that, you know, they can't get there, or grandmas or grandparents or whatever. So I appreciate, you know, us doing that, and I think that's an awesome thing that we do.
Kudos to Mr. Robbins over there. He's the one that coordinates that and getting in his schedule. So no, we appreciate a lot of,
Yeah, so thank you.
a lot of positives from parents, but definitely thank you.
That's it.
Angela? I would just like to tell everyone, all the students and the staff to have a great summer and enjoy their time off and their much-needed break. And thank you for all your hard work throughout the year to both staff and students. So I know students have been working hard this year too and need a much-needed break. Back to you, Candace.
I also wanted to say how much fun it was to watch the graduates across the stage at community college. It was quite a big thing. It was definitely makes you feel good about what we do and how it all come together. Very nice time here to see all that. So I also kind of just wanted to say it's disappointing to see as many teachers leave as that are within that this year. I noticed there's quite a few leaving the high school, and I know that we kind of have had a pretty heavy year on us, and we had a big group leave in the middle school, and I know that we had done some communication things to kind of, Ms. Wong's you had a couple meetings over at the school, opening the doors for teachers to come in and talk to you about maybe some miscommunications in the building or things that, you know, they wanted to maybe help fix or concerns that the staff had. So, you know, I'm just wondering if there's more of that going on now that we're seeing this trend up in the high school level, giving them a platform to kind of talk about maybe some things. I know that it's happening everywhere, I get that, but if there's anything that we can do, you know, from within to open these communications.
Absolutely. I mentioned that I had the comments that Mrs. Schroeder shared with me. We've already started putting some of those, which made sense. I'll just say this. Change is going to occur whether we want it to happen or not. And when you look at, and if you like, I'll bring the demographic, look at the demographics of our staff this year. We have several senior members, I mean that in a positive way, who are nearing retirement. We have staff members who have chosen to leave because the pay scale is higher in other districts. I'm not saying that's the only reason. I'm not saying, and there's probably personality conflict, but it's a two-way street. And I would just like this board, and I hope this board is going to focus on, we've already hired, and it'll be on the next thing, people to replace people who just are on that list today. It's already done. We've got offers out to teachers, it's already done. So I think we need to focus on the staff that are coming here and what they're going to bring to the district and our students.
Okay, I would just like to remind the board on August 11th through the 13th, MASB is holding a summer institute at the Macomb Intermediate School District. This institute will provide courses for certification and workshops for the board presidents. I'm looking into doing the board president things. Kelly, did you take 101 yet from MA or from? No. Okay, so this might be a good opportunity at that time to take that. I know you were, Candace, you were taking some of the courses. So again, they're doing those certification courses. So if anybody on the board is interested, it's close, it's local, you know, we don't have to drive to too. So if you're interested, I believe, Mr. Walmsley, we can work for you as far as the payment and what we need to do, because we do have funds for that, okay? Second thing, Becky, I apologize. I should have said you too with Andrea as far as thanking for graduation. It wasn't it really went well, and it was nice to just kind of from my end to sit back and just watch.
She's the brains behind the operation, trust me.
But you were there, I saw you running around too, so it took both of you. I too just wish to thank our staff for everything they've done this year. I know it's not been an easy year, and I wish all of our staff and students have a great summer, relax, enjoy, do some traveling, and then we will see you back in the fall. Okay, next item on our agenda is our public comments. Since the last board meeting, I received no emails from the public. However, I did receive an email from a staff person, which I forwarded or directed to Mr. Walmsley, and he did deal with the situation. At this time, any member of the public may address the board. Please sign in and state your name. You will have 3 minutes to address the board. Are there any public comments?
No, just get it ready.
Good evening. My name is Jen Kara. Some of you might remember me as Jen Wolf. I was a math teacher and history teacher here at Richmond High School from September of 2001 to February 24th, 2023. I taught here for 21 and a half years. I was hired fresh out of college. I didn't know anything about Richmond schools or the community. I didn't know how special Richmond is. My principals were Pat Olson and Deb Michon. Pat and Deb helped shape the teacher and person that I am today. Not only did they mentor me professionally, but I knew I could always talk to them about anything going on in my life. Deb, you and I had several heart-to-heart conversations through every stage of my adult life. I thought of Pat and Deb as the big brother and sister I never had. Several other teachers were also hired around the same time as me. We became a family. The entire district was a family. Teachers, support staff, administration, and the school board. Like all families, we may not have always agreed, but at the end of the day, I could confidently say that we all had students' best interests at heart. I didn't realize how lucky I was to be a part of such an amazing family. But all of that changed. I no longer feel like Richmond Community Schools is a family. I can no longer say with confidence that everyone has students' best interests at heart. Richmond Community Schools has become a source of anxiety not only for me, but also for many friends and colleagues. This is the biggest reason why so many of us have left, especially mid-year. Mr. Walmsley and Mrs. Michon have made several comments throughout the year about staff leaving Richmond in droves because of salaries. I'm here to say that after being a part of the Blue Devil family for over 21 years, I did not leave for more money. Yes, the entire Richmond staff has been underpaid for years. But if I was going to leave for more money, it would have been 20 years ago when I started having children. Even with the recently increased teacher pay schedule, teachers are continuing to leave. Veteran teachers like me that are within a few years of retiring are leaving to go to other districts. At this point in my career, again, I did not leave for more money. I left because I felt forced out of Richmond. I am hurt that after 21 years of service, I am not valued. It took administration 2 days to respond to my resignation. My opening was posted before I even received a response. I am a Blue Devil. I will always be a Blue Devil. It breaks my heart to not be here anymore. But this is a horrible place to work, and it starts all the way up at the top. There's no professional trust, no respect, no appreciation. We feel bullied, we feel harassed. For example, several staff was questioned if they took a day off after death threats were made to the school district. The evaluation process should be a means of helping us grow as educators. The evaluation process should not...
I'm sorry.
I'd like to let her finish.
Well, she has 3 minutes. It's up to the board if you want to hear the rest of it.
It's not up to us, that's our policy.
It's not up to us,
I'm
it's
sorry.
3 minutes or
So your 3 minutes are up.
She can leave what she has and we can read it.
I thought we agreed that we could allow them more time individually, each of us board members.
I'm not interested.
That's very rude.
Are you going to have?
Oh, yeah, I'll take over.
Okay.
Honestly, I'd like to say that I have watched board meetings.
First off, Mrs. Michelle, she needs to stop speaking. And someone can't come and fit it, that's not how it works, so let's do
If
this.
they choose to come up to the podium, they're not taking their 3 minutes. She could hand off and read it. They're just another person.
She can read her Scott.
Okay.
They have to go through the same process of stating your name and filling out the form on the podium, please.
Okay. The evaluation process.
Excuse me a minute, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Could you please state your name?
Yeah, sure. My name's John Carroll.
Thank you, and if you could sign.
Yep,
it when you
sorry,
get a
son.
chance.
Sorry,
No
son.
problem.
Thank you so much. The evaluation process should not be a means of retaliation. Richmond High School has an amazing art teacher. She received a highly effective evaluation last year. She's the year's Teacher of the Year. Last week, she submitted her resignation. Now this week, her evaluation grade is barely effective. How does a highly effective teacher and Teacher of the Year drop to barely effective without any conversations of how she has dropped the ball or how she could have done better? We always feel like we have to cover our tail and look over our shoulder to not upset the wrong person for fear of getting a target on our back. While one teacher is praised and bragged about on the district's Facebook page for doing something with their class, another teacher is written up for doing the exact same thing on the exact same day because they upset the wrong person. At Richmond, I was made to feel like I wasn't doing enough for my students. Nothing I ever did was enough or good enough. I literally have shed blood, sweat and tears for this district without so much as a thank you. In 3 months I've been teaching outside of Richmond, I've received more praise and compliments about my teaching and my willingness to help students than I have in the past 8 years at Richmond. I'm not the only person who feels like this. In the past year, 49 staff members of various positions have left the district. Several of these staff just started this year. That is just this year. Staff have been leaving Richmond for years. Some even retired before they were ready. At one point, we may have been replaceable, but that is no longer the case. At this point, Richmond is struggling to fill vacant positions and struggling more to fill vacant positions with qualified, certified people, let alone quality people. Regardless of how much you pay your staff, they will continue to leave until the work environment improves, and the students of Richmond Community Schools are suffering. If my children were students here, I would transfer them because the district cannot guarantee they will have qualified teachers. As elected school board officials, I beg you to ask yourself if you truly have students and community's best interest in mind, and if you do, please reflect on how this district has treated its employees. This directly impacts students and their education. We are professionals and have continued to teach students to the best of our ability despite the toxic work environment. But we all have a breaking point. There's a reason why veteran teachers and staff members are leaving in droves, and it isn't the money. Thank you.
Do we have any other public comments? Okay, we will move. Oops, I'm sorry.
Mine is petty compared to what he just had to say, but I still cannot hear. I do not know if it's my ears or what, but I cannot, especially over here. I don't know if microphones aren't working, they're not close enough. Can you over there hear, right?
No.
So I guess it's not just me.
Thank you for letting us know. We will work on making sure we're heard.
Well, I come here to hear you, so.
Okay, our next line of work. I apologize, we have one more.
So I'm Sheila Leapeck, I'm the former guidance counselor from the high school. And I think the thing that drew us into the district was the family. The thing that kept us at the district was the family, from Gary Rombach through Pat Olson, through Andy Castle, there was a feeling of community and a feeling that we all wanted to work together. And I just pray for everybody here that remains, that that can come back and that people can trust one another and love one another, because we're here to be a family for our students. We're here to be a family for our parents. And if that's not happening, we have to question why. If people aren't being supported, we have to question why. Okay, it takes a moment to fall out of favor, and everybody can point a finger. But the bottom line is, who's here? Who's here to be the family for our families and our students? Those are the people that matter. And that's it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, we are moving on to our action items. We're looking to approve the food service equipment purchase from Elliott Food Equipment. Mr. Mosley.
The food service equipment for you is a bid that was placed. This is replacing several food equipment throughout the district. Over our time when we were during COVID and using our grants and funds creatively, we charge as much as we could to the grant dollars, which would free up the food service dollars that we either collected by the students or when everybody received a meal, the money we received from the state. We have too much money in our fund balance for food service, so this gives us an opportunity to replace equipment that needs to be replaced. The original bid went out when we did the walkthrough after the bids were awarded. There were several dimensions in the doors to get the equipment in that we had to send basically a rebid. Two people rebid. 3 sent rebids in, but 1 did not send it in the time frame. The net did not change. The lowest bid is still the lowest bid. So before you is a proposal to begin the replacement of the equipment. We did build in a 20% site conditions. You see it on the bid proposal or the wording. We don't, many of these pieces of equipment are original from the 70s in the middle school. So when we pull them out, we don't know what we're going to find. We're putting the new stuff in there. So we want to make sure we had the ability to not keep coming back with it.
I'm looking for a motion.
I move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and approve the purchase of food service equipment from Elliott Food Equipment LLC for a total not to exceed $104,734 plus 20% for unknown site installation conditions as outlined in the attached documentation for which funding from the food service fund is authorized.
Do I have support? Any discussion? Thanks, Candace. Any discussion? Okay, this will be a roll call vote. Margaret?
Aye.
Candace?
Aye.
Angela? Aye. Kelly?
Aye.
Sandy? Aye. I vote aye, motion carries. Okay, I'm looking for the approval of the 2023 millage tax request. Mr. Mosley?
This is the same millage rate as we did last year so that we can get the tax documents to the townships and city for summer taxes issued July 1.
I move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and approve the 2023 tax rate request L-4029 as presented in the attached documentation.
Do I have support?
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I'm looking for the approval of letter of agreement between the Richmond Board of Education and MEA Local 1 and the Richmond Education Association. Mr. Walmsley?
Since January, the district has been in conversation with the MEA Local 1, otherwise known as the Richmond Education Association. Before you is a proposal to provide off-schedule payments, as it was phrased in the REA's original proposal to the district, as a retention bonus to keep employees here. In your backup, you have that cost proposal. In addition, the proposal adds step 10 and excuse me, step 11 and 11 and a half to the matrix for the 23-24 school year, and 12 and 12 and a half for the 24-25 school year, thus allowing our teachers to cap off or top out, if you will, at a bachelor's degree at 71,000 plus, at a bachelor's 15 at 74, almost 75,000, at a master's degree 78,000, at a MA 15 degree at 82,000, and a MA 30 ed specialist at 87,000 plus. At the end of the 24-25 school year, when the contract expires, step 13 and 13.5 will be added, thus allowing our teachers to max out at this rate 75,000 plus for a bachelor's, 78, almost 79,000 for a bachelor's plus 15, master's 82,000, master's plus 15, 86,000, and a master's plus 30 ed specialist at almost $92,000. This isn't what our original proposal that we proposed to the REA, but it is a compromise proposal. In this proposal, every teacher is getting an off-schedule payment. Every teacher next year is getting a step, a 1% increase, and every an off-schedule payment. And in the 24-25 school year, every teacher is receiving a 1% and a full step. In your packet, you have an agreement on what qualifies as a work day. For the 22-23 school year, using the least common denominator of the teacher with the most absences, it was agreed to that a teacher would only have to work 51% of the time. Thus, 2 teachers would not be receiving off-schedule payments for the 22-23 school year because they are working less than 51% of the time. For the 23-24 school year, it was agreed to that teachers would have to work at least 70% of the time per quarter, and in the 24-25 school year, the teachers would continue to have to work 70% of the time. Just for reference, the contractual agreements offered to a teacher with sick days and personal days would have a teacher only working, if they took their full days, 92.9% of the time, yet we agreed to lower the bar to 70%. It is my recommendation that the board approve this. In your backup, you will see the current contract language with 4 scenarios. Someone at a BA step 1, someone at a BA step 4, B equals 15 step 4, one at a master's step 6, one at a master's step 9.0, and one at a master's plus 30 at step 10. You will also see the original proposal given to us by the REA. You will also see the district's original proposal. In that original proposal, we proposed this year those at the top who did not receive a step or only received a half step to get this year a half step or full step like every other teacher, and then going forward everybody would get a step, which would make our matrix go up to roughly step 14. And when you look at those numbers, they are comparable to other districts, despite what was shared by a member. And as a side note, if anybody, teacher or any board member would like information on any staff member who left, including disciplinary records, I would love to share that with you. You're here to teach, and if you don't teach, we will hold you accountable. The last page that you have here is the agreement that is the compromise. I point this out because while I tried my best for those at the top, the 22 plus, I was unsuccessful, but I think the agreement is still good in terms of it does help our matrix and hopefully retain teacher. But you will see a scenario in there of those 20-plus teachers on our proposal compared to the agreement. So I would ask the board approve. If approved tonight, the off-schedule payments would go into effect June 25th for all but 2 staff members, and then the step in the off-schedule payments will move forward from the 23-24 school year.
I'm looking for a motion.
I motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and approve the letter of agreement between the Board of Education of Richmond Community Schools and the NEA Local 1, Richmond Education Association is outlined in the attached documentation.
So thank you.
Angela, that's Angela.
Any discussion? I do have a statement that I would like to make. I am somewhat disappointed with our union leadership that it took 6 months to come to this agreement that we worked on. I feel that communication wasn't well between us and them, between them and the local and their teachers. And I'm just kind of disappointed that it took 6 months because our teachers lost money because it took so long. They could have gotten an extra stipend for the 3rd quarter and didn't because we couldn't come to an agreement. We heard as a board that we don't care about our teachers, or we don't worry about them. That we worked as a board to try to at least increase the pay here, and that is our goal, and that's what we're trying to reach. And I feel in some ways our union leadership failed our teachers. Thank you. Okay, at this time, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mrs.
Oh, I'm
Michon,
sorry, you have to abstain.
I need to abstain. Legally, I cannot work for the contract because I'm related to a teacher,
Correct.
so I abstain.
So here we go again. Okay, so all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Thank you. Motion carries. That's our end of our meeting this evening. We have no further business. We are adjourning at 8:37.